everybody. We'll just start with prayer, one for myself, and being honest. In the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, thank you for the gift of this place. Thank you for the gift of the new community. Thank you for all the graces and the positions that you have placed me in. Thank you for your heart. You love us so carelessly without reserve, without hold. Help us to know that tonight. Help us to see that in this community. Help us to never turn to you. Amen. Thank you all for being here. As she said, I'm from Hastings, Nebraska, home of Brouillette, Islands Cookies, Tom Osborne, and happiness. So just a little bit. I'm seeing this here, and kind of this talk, two parts. I'm going to go over student testimony and also kind of my experience as president of the Human Board and kind of the vision I had for this year with leading that. So, coming into college, I came in the wonderful year of COVID where nothing existed for events or social events. And so I had two very different things. I joined the farmhouse fraternity, and even Newman Center didn't really do much because they had to do all the COVID guidelines and couldn't really have events, which made everything difficult. But I had two things. I had 10 p.m. mass, and I had parties. Those are kind of two things I could go to that year for social events. And when I went to 10 p.m. mass, actually, no, we're going to the party scene first. So, again, nothing was happening. Campus wasn't doing anything. Newman Center couldn't do anything. So, farmhouse had all these events. And I wasn't partaking in the party culture. Well, I was going to parties, but I wasn't drinking. I wasn't doing any of the hookup culture or any of the sinful stuff around it, but I was going to them. And you can see a lot of things in the party culture. You can see that there is a good desire in its root. You're seeing that people desire this community that they don't currently have. They want friendship, they want community, they want to be loved and to love others. And just in a slightly distorted way. And in seeing this, it was good. I got to meet a lot of people. It was a good social experience. But I found myself just getting out of those events, just feeling not guilty, but feeling there's this lack of innocence to those different parties, events, where I missed that from high school. High school was just, every event was pure, it was good intention, and it was just fun. And college culture in the party scene just has a slight disorder to it where you have underage drinking, you have the hookup culture, you have just kind of self-motive of trying to seek affection. And I would see this, and it just kind of broke my heart, especially being in a fraternity, being at the house, being getting ready for bed, brushing my teeth in the bathroom, and seeing guys coming in, and they're either just not present, can't handle themselves, or you see them literally broken down in tears. And your heart just breaks for them. You see them, and they're just in this saddened place because they just desire something good, but they don't know where to find it yet. So I had this side of the party scene, and then I also had 10 p.m. mass. And 10 p.m. mass, I was just able, this was probably the first experience I had with Encounter to Newman Center. We had, obviously going from Hastings to St. Cecilia, beautiful experience there, beautiful Catholic community, and then going to Newman Center, where it was very reduced that year, but there was still this beautiful culture where after mass we just hang out and talk until midnight and regret it a little bit in the morning, but it was still worth it. And you get to experience all of these things with these deep relationships, and you're left with this sense of joy instead of slight guilt or discomfort. And so this was my first interaction with Newman Center. And fast forward, go to the summer, I ended up applying for Camp Wojtyla out in Colorado, where I slept in a hammock every night. I was outside. The only permanent building we had was the chapel in the director's house that we didn't get to go in the director's house, it was just the chapel. And I experienced this community that was the most life-giving community I've experienced, honestly, well, not today, because that's reading this whole talk, but I experienced this beautiful culture of everybody was just down to do anything adventurous, Catholic, and pure. And that was just the culture that I loved. And at the end of the summer, you'd see some people getting to the end and they're oh man, I'm gonna miss this a lot. I don't have anything close to this back home. Like I have some friends who went to TCU, and they're like, our Newman Center is literally an old dojo. It is 4 walls, we have mass over here, and then we have community over here, and that's it. And it's just like not beautiful, it's not significant. And then I was just sitting there hearing all these people, and I was like, that's like, it's like so sad because I have that. I have this community that I had at Camp Waitiva back home. I have the Newman Center because it is this beautiful church, beautiful experience, and beautiful people all around that I get to be around every single day. And it's just events like that that taught me so much that life with Christ is a wonderful adventure, and the Newman Center has taught me that in so many different ways through all of the events, especially through the liturgies. This week was very Catholic filled. We had Focus Group Mass at AGS, one of the fraternities. We had Holy Day of Obligation. We had Eucharistic procession last night, and then we have this event. And all just things that I'm just sitting there and I look around, I'm like, this is my experience in college. Some people are literally currently in a stingy basement that's sticky, hot, they're dripping sweat, they're being weird. And I get to experience something like this, a beautiful meal with beautiful people, and it brings me so much joy just realizing that. And it was actually this event last year where I left it with so much excitement and so much joy that I ended up going to Newman, and I ended up tearing up a little bit. I know, soft, but I ended up going to the chapel, and I was just like crying because I was just overwhelmed with joy, but my heart also broke because people don't get to experience this. This isn't their college. This isn't what their maybe every other week is or anything like that. Or they may never experience a community like this. And you just hear the beautiful stories from Father Tia where he was talking about where it used to be and where it is now. And I was just like filled with joy, being like, this is life. This is life to the full. And it excites me every single day when I get to go to a beautiful church, have a beautiful time in the Eucharist and adoration, and then I get the greatest people in the world to be around every single day. And then I get to process around campus with the Eucharist. And that's just one of my nights of the semester. And that's been one of the greatest gifts. And so at this time last year was when I tried to weasel my way into being president of the Newman board, because that also kind of showed me what our true mission in life was. My brother at my other brother's wedding had this great quote, and it just like hit me full force last year after this event. And he was like, Blake and Kelly, I can't wait to see you two in heaven, holding all the hands of all the people that you helped bring to heaven with you. And that just like, I don't even know where that came from, like where it like hit me again, but that quote just made me realize like, whatever vocation we're in right now is where God destined us to bring the most souls to heaven. And that just excited me beyond belief. Like I was just thinking of that, I was like no matter what I am, like whether single, married, just like a student, whether you're working a regular job, it's like that is where God created you to bring the most souls to heaven, back to Him. And you just have to say yes. You just have to learn to love Him, and then He does the rest from there. So, in going about this, again, I put in the word in Father T's ear, and he, for some reason, listened. And, thanks for that. And, yeah, so then I was just getting excited for the role. And going into the summer, I was very excited about the role, but also, like, I don't know how I'm going to lead this. And I made a prayer both at the end of the year last year, and then before the school year this year, before we had an event with just the Newman board and the Newman leaders, the people in discipleship and other things. And I just made the simple prayer of, like, Jesus, what do you want them all to know? And it was very clear both times. Like, again, it was like maybe 4 months apart. And all that came very clearly was, before all else, be my children. And that quote just became my whole goal for the Newman board, the Newman Center, is before all else, be my children. Because God just asks us to do this every day. It's like, we can't do mission if we're not His children first. No matter what, if it's our job, whether it's kids, family, friends, if we're not letting God first, we're not letting them. And if we're not growing our relationship with them, or with God, we can't do that with them as well. And so I just encourage the Newman board and leaders, and would love to encourage all of you just to grow in a relationship with Jesus, because that's going to fill you up more than any other event, any other temporary pleasure. And this is what the whole board kind of guided towards this year. And in seeing this, there's also a great missionary that we used to have, Ben Garrison. He made a great quote one time of, "We are the lucky ones." Like, as simple as that, like, we are the lucky ones who God called us into this place. If you're here, it's probably because you were either invited or at some point had an experience with Jesus or somebody who showed you Jesus. And there's a famous quote about St. John Vianney. When somebody visited him, he came back and his wife asked him, like, "What did you see? You look like you've seen a ghost." And he says, "I saw God in a man." And there's nothing cooler than that. Nothing more grace-filled than that. If our entire Newman Center has this ability, if everyone here has that ability to grow in faith, to be so excited about life and relationship with Jesus, that all we do is mission. And I've seen that this year. It has been unbelievable. I'm going to steal a stat that's going to be said later. Please repeat it because it's insane. But there are currently somewhere around 60 people in OCIA preparing to join the church. And even this past week, I had one of my friends in Farmhouse who's been around Catholics all of Farmhouse, but never joined. Just randomly texted me, "Hey, I'm looking at OCIA, and I was wondering, like, do you know all the logistics?" I actually still need to text them back. But, just out of nowhere, they're just like coming on their own. And obviously it's because of the witness, but there's so many beautiful things like that. Like, again, in my fraternity, we have crazy stats that is not normal for, especially a non-Catholic frat. We currently have 6 people in discipleship, and we have 16 people who this semester got asked into discipleship. In the Farmhouse alone, we have 20 men coming to weekly Bible studies. Same thing in several different fraternities, Sigma, Beta, Sig Chi, just all of these crazy moments where faith is just blowing up on campus. And it's all because the Newman Center is investing in the members and investing in relationship with Jesus first through the Eucharist. And we get to experience that every day. To kind of wrap this up, just my greatest experience has been the Newman Center because I get to have moments like this where I get to see the joy in everybody's faces here because we're at a pure-hearted event, we're around amazing people, and God is showing us in all of the small details through our very dinner, through the way that somebody loves us, how much He loves us. Like, He's flirting with us in that way. And I've only been able to learn this because of the Newman Center, because of all that it shows me every single day, every single week, every single moment. And yeah, all it takes is for us to simply be His children. That's all He asks us to do. Before all else, be my children. And thank you, and God bless.